Hi, everyone. This is Marilyn Bradford, and I would like to welcome you to my Left Turn podcast. What is your left turn? Writing a blog, parenting in a different way, letting go of the old because you are aware of something greater. Left turns are choices we can all make. It's about a willingness to step into the unknown in any area of your life, to trust yourself, to risk creating or trying something new. It's about letting your true uniqueness shine. The greatest people who have lived, artists, statesmen, writers, explorers, musicians, have all been people willing to turn left. What capacities do you have that you have not acknowledged? What would your life and the world be like if you were willing to turn left? Welcome, everybody. I'm Marilyn Bradford, and this is another edition of the Left Turn podcast with phenomenally impossible people. And today I have absolutely one such person, Christopher Hughes. I don't even know where to start with Christopher, but I had this idea that when he came out of his mother's womb, he started rolling to the left. I think he's one of the most left turn people I know, always following the energy, always following what works for him, and not really giving a rat's patoot about what everybody else says, which is truly awesome. It's a very great inspiration. Chris, of course, he's an access consciousness facilitator. He's co-owner of the Guild, where I have many beautiful things. I can't remember if I got this from the Guild or not.
You did.
I did. I got this from the Guild.
That one. Yeah.
Uh, Wonderful art, antiquities, all kinds of things. And he just does lots of fun things. So, good morning, Christopher. He's in Australia, and I'm definitely not. Um, what are some of the left turns that you really liked or that come to mind when you think about this?
Gosh, so many. I love the way you've defined left turn, as in you're on a course and you went, no, I'm going this way. I guess I grew up in a family, Maryland, where it was kind of like assumed what was available to us and what our path was. So really, in my case, reaching for anything was a bit of a left turn. Like I even remember when I was a young man and said, I'm going to go to university. My family was like, what are you talking about? We don't do that. I was the first person, I think, in our family to go to uni. Uh,
Wow.
and I was told, we can't afford that. That's not for people like us. And why do you want to go to this really expensive school out east? Um, I, I think my grandmother's words were that highfalutin school out east.
Absolutely. Yes.
Highfalutin. It was like the most expensive university, I think, in Canada at the time. And I was going to study singing. And they were like, you could learn to do that in the church. What are you doing? But my whole life was, oh yeah, that's what's on offer. No thanks, I'm gonna have something else. I always just knew that there was something else available and I was gonna have it. No matter what you told me was possible, I went, no, sorry. And that even went like when I grew up, I grew up quite poor. My family had very little. My mother raised three kids on her own with no support and didn't when she left my dad, she didn't even have a high school education. So she raised three kids on that. And we didn't have much, but even despite that, I was always giving away what we did have because I went, it'll be fine. We'll just go find more. And I see that as a bit of a left turn. To me, a left turn is like not is taking everything that you are given or have and go, no, but we can have more.
Absolutely. I adopted my parents' poverty and penuriousness. You did just the opposite. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, totally. I went, nah, this is not real. We can have more.
And you created more.
Absolutely, and constantly and continuously do. I've always been setting the bar for myself higher. I guess that is a left turn. Like instead of taking anything for granted, going, nope,
Yeah.
bigger, bigger, grander,
Yes.
more. Yes,
Yes.
please. Let's go. The universe is not on a budget, so let's have bigger. And it's not
I
just about,
like that.
yeah,
The universe. I'm writing it down.
good.
So tell more about your journey. You weren't you in Korea for a while or something?
I was. I went I grew up in Canada and as I say, I went to university for opera and leaving university, I tried of started transitioning from being on stage singing to being a director and producer of opera. And I love opera, but I kind of was like, there's something else possible here. We don't have to do it this way. You know, I was sort of bored of how bourgeois opera was becoming and how irrelevant culturally. You know, once upon a time, probably until the 50s, 60s, and even 70s, it was something that people did in a certain class of society, I suppose. They would love to go and see the opera and see the ballet and see the theater. And then it's really in the last generation started to fade out of existence. And what I saw was, no, 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 this can be relevant to people today, these stories that are in these operas. So getting out of university, I got what was my dream job. And my dream job was um, as one of the associate directors for the opera school in Toronto. And I was like one of the youngest people ever to take that post, but they thought I was a lunatic. Everything I wanted to do, they went, what are you doing? This is crazy. We just want to give young singers a chance to sing these operas in a conventional way. But I wanted to do things like take the Marriage of Figaro that was a sex comedy about the
Uh-huh.
Lord of the Land wanting to have sex with his wife's maid.
Right.
And I said, I know how to make this relevant to people. And mind you, Marilyn, this is 20 years ago. I said, let's set this in the Oval Office and make it Bill Clinton and Monica Lewinsky.
I love
And
it.
they said, absolutely not. And I said, okay, well, this whole story is about blue blood versus blue collar, and there's a young guy with blue balls, and there's an old lady with blue hair. Let's do a really crazy monochromatic production, everything in different shades of blue. Visually, it'll be very arresting. And this is all about a class war and distinction. And they went, you're crazy. So here I was in my dream job and I was miserable.
Yeah.
And so I went, okay, left turn. And I started traveling. And I ended up in Korea, as you mentioned, with some friends in the wildest kinds of jobs. I did singing telegrams. I had a radio show. I did a musical. I worked in a publishing company. You name it, I did it. And what was really cool about it is every day was different. I was always having to reinvent myself, and it was more creative in so many ways than what I found in the opera industry. Uh, so that was a left turn to Korea. And while I was there, I discovered Access Consciousness and went, huh. And that showed me that I could turn again and didn't necessarily need to live in Korea anymore. It was fun. It was great. I had a wonderful time, but I'd actually been done for quite a while. So off I went on another adventure. And now I'm living in Australia and an antique dealer. But once again, like I look at this chain of events of everything that I've chosen and all the turns that I've taken and the deviation that my route has been, there is a commonality and a thread through all of it, and all of it has been the pursuit of creativity and self-expression and
Mm,
and in and a I guess a fostering or a championing of elegance and beauty.
yes.
I found the opera world quite rigid in that regard, and it was difficult to actually do what I knew I could do and so what I'm doing now with facilitating and with antiques is actually giving me more of that thing I was looking for in opera than I could get there.
Right. I mean, I grew up with opera and it is rather fixed. Um,
Yeah.
But you teach still, right? Voice for You.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Which I've taken, which was wonderful, really helpful. Um,
Cool.
say more about the champion of elegance and beauty, I can't even say that word right now.
Championing.
Championing.
I think, you know, I love the way you're talking about left turns. But to me, they're never really left turns when you know where you're going.
Ah,
Like I said, there's this through line in everything that I've chosen to date. And there's always been a few elements that I have adhered to as valuable to me. Um,
mm-hmm,
Beauty, elegance, hedonism, uh, kindness, inclusion. Those sort of three, four things have always been a part of my direction. And a left turn for me has always been going, you know what I'm doing right now is actually not serving the greater kind of purpose that I have in life, which is an inclusive reality where hedonism and elegance and beauty are supported and chosen. Um, so that's really been it for me. That's to me what makes life worth living is
yes.
having a world that's kind and beautiful.
Yes, absolutely. And contributing to that in any way we can or we choose.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, that makes me smile.
It makes me smile.
Well, you made a comment before we started recording that you were left turn even in Access. Can you say more about that?
Yeah. You know, access is an incredible, 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 incredible gift. It has changed my life and continues to constantly. And one thing that people are wary of with access is it gets this label of cult slung at it.
Right.
The root of cult to me, or cult is the root of culture. And anytime you get a community together and a culture starts to form, people start adapting norms and they start assuming that certain behaviors are appropriate or they look for the right thing to do based on the rules and regulations of a culture. I had a young guy contact me the other day who he's a fairly new facilitator of access consciousness, and he had a bars client who was dissatisfied.
Mhm.
And he said, "What should I do?" He said, "I heard Gary say once that I should give them their money back and tell them they're no longer ever allowed in access and ever allowed in consciousness again." And I said, "Okay, hang on. Hang on. It's your business and it's your life. Are you trying to do what Gary wants you to do and what you think Gary says is the correct thing to do? Or what do you know you should be doing? You may be that you choose that path, but what's true for you?" Anytime we're like going to, oh, well, what am I supposed to wear? And how am I supposed to talk? And what is the right thing to choose and do here? Oh, well, in Access, everyone says you should eat a lot of sugar and wear pearls and like antiques and ride horses. And so there becomes this culture, and I think that's where it emphasizes that cultiness. So I have always, like within Access, I'm willing to go, no, that doesn't work for me. Whatever your expectation of me is and whatever you think I'm supposed to be doing or saying and agreeing to toe the line, I'm not your guy. I
Right.
am, if you want to call me, I'm willing to be the iconoclast of enlightenment who says, nah, fuck you, I'm doing it my way. I don't agree. At the end of the day, it's my life. And
Yes.
I I think what's such a gift about Access is it gives you these dynamic tools, these
Yes.
really dynamic tools. And that's what it should be. And I think people should take those dynamic tools and go out and live their lives, not try and drink the Kool-Aid and be part of the community.
Mhm.
And Access doesn't ask anyone to do that, but I notice people crave something to believe in and be and belong to so much that they try and turn it into a religion. And I'm one of the people out there going,
Uh-uh.
"What are you doing? No,
Yeah.
stop this
Yeah.
shit."
Yeah.
We're
It becomes an identity or an image or something like
yeah.
that.
Hmm.
No, I've noticed that too. And some of it's just my psychotherapy or whatever training.
Well, and that's a great example. Like the last couple years, I was post my divorce, I was going through quite a lot, just like examining things in my life and talk about a left turn, get a divorce, woof. Um, and I started seeing a psychologist.
Uh-huh.
And a lot of people who choose access classes regularly or facilitators, whatever, they're like, why are you doing that? Why are you seeing a psychologist? Shouldn't you just like talk to a facilitator and get pod and pocked? And I went, no,
No.
I want to speak with somebody who A doesn't know me and have a predisposed point of view about who I am and what's required
Yes.
in my case. And I don't want to be pod and pocked and told who does this belong to. I just want to be listened to for a minute. I need to process some stuff in a different way. And I found an incredible psychologist who was so empowering and so helpful. And
Cool.
it was valuable for me.
Yes.
But again, within the cult and culture of a community, those sorts of choices for you that are different than what you're expected of aren't necessarily encouraged or seen as correct.
Yes, that's very true. That's very true. And I'm always amazed how my 37 plus years as a psychotherapist works with the access tools and with facilitating people.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It makes a big difference.
Hmm.
It really does. So what's on for you now, Chris?
Well, in the last year and a half, I have been facilitating a lot around sex. And that has become a huge part of my sort of target in life. And it's put the wind in my sails to really contribute to the world in a different way. I didn't realize, but one of the most perverted, kinky things about me is I don't have any judgment about sex.
Right.
And I don't have a point of view about it. So I've been able to help people and work with them to get over shame
Yes.
and fear and the sexual anxiety that so many people function from that leads to many of the physiological challenges that they have in their life around erectile dysfunction, premature ejaculation, vaginismus, vaginitis, the list goes on and on. All of these physical ailments, generally speaking, start here in the head rather than in the body. And that has been like such a gift to get to speak with people all over the world, whether it's women in Muslim countries living in an Arab world to, um, you know, people all over the world, no matter what their culturally entrenched points of view are around having some freedom in this area of life. It's been such a gift. I'm having the time of my life through my own podcast and through classes. It's been great.
And what a gift to the world because, well, I was just working with Betsy on some stuff and how much our cultures, all cultures, disregard the body. And then addiction and traditional recovery, you're not even supposed to think of the body. The body's the problem. So how can you enjoy what you're talking about, real sexualness and freedom, if you're not even supposed to be connected to your body?
Right. And like to me, the body loves to dance, it loves to sing, it loves to eat, and it loves to fuck. Like
Yeah.
these are aspects of our body, they're capacities of our body to receive pleasure and express joy. And
Yes.
why have they been made wrong and demonized and gate kept by the powers that be or by different cults and religions? I just I really do not understand.
Oh, well, it's control.
Yeah,
Absolutely. When
yeah.
people are really connected with their bodies, you can't control them or not,
Mm.
yeah, easily. You can't have addiction with that.
That is so funny. That is so interesting because I was working with an organization that did not it didn't end well. And I was speaking with Gary about it, and I said, "Where did I go wrong, or what happened there?" And he said the lady in charge had to get rid of you because you can't be controlled. I went,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
oh, gotcha.
Yeah. all people stepping into the sexualness, their bodies, that's a huge contribution to empowerment and making more left turns. So that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Anything you would like to say to people about if they're, well, about anything?
I would say know that you're on a path, even if you're not necessarily that clear on what that path is. As I said earlier, I look at all my choices and the adventure my life has been, and there is a through line. There
Mm-hmm.
is a consistent uh, upholding of particular set of values and interests.
Mm-hmm.
It is valuable from my point of view to have a look at what that is for you so that you're a little clearer on where you're going in life.
Mm-hmm.
What is valuable to you? And what are your where are you going?
Right.
And once you know what those things are, like I was able for myself to outline the things that are valuable to me, hedonism, kindness, joy, inclusion, elegance, beauty. Because
Love.
I know that about
Mm-hmm.
myself, every choice that I make to create my life and my experience and this adventure of living, it's actually pretty easy because I can constantly make the choices that create more of that in the world.
Yes, that's lovely. Well, thank you so much, Chris. It's a pleasure talking with you.
You too, my dear and delightful friend. I will never forget the time we went for lunch and I said, I'm going to drink cocktails with an addiction specialist. I love this.
That's one of my left turns.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining this episode of Left Turn. I wonder what embracing left turns could create in your life. What magical possibilities might show up. Remember, when you choose left turns, you are joining a group of the most creative and brilliant people the world has ever known.